Hello everyone, my name is Vipra Joshi and I am an assistant professor in St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management in Electrical Engineering Department. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on subject of computer aided electric machine design. In this video I will be explain design of DC machine. This is unit 3rd topic of 6th semester in electrical engineering branch. This is the diagram of the DC machine. Okay, here you can see this is the field pole and the outer part is called the yoke, and here we have one armature winding, and in the poles we have a field winding. These are called the field pole. Okay, so here we can see, we can say the part of this is pole shoes, and here we have a armature conductor here, and winding on the armature conductor is called the armature winding, and this is the shaft, and this is the commutator which convert AC to DC, means the output of the commutator gives the DC. Now you know that DC machine is the class of the rotatory electrical motor. Okay, it is the rotating device, so it convert direct current electrical energy into the mechanical energy. When electrical current flowing through the coil, okay, so when we supply the electric current to the DC machine, then electric current start to flow through the coil within the magnetic field. Okay, because here the number of poles are in the stator, so due to this here is a magnetic field. Okay, so under the magnetic field, when current are flowing through the coil, then the magnetic force generate and the torque is produced, and we can say the DC motor start rotating due to the torque produced. These are the standard specifications of the machine: rating, type of enclosure, cooling method, standard frame size, what is speed of prime mover, performance specification has to be meet, and efficiency, types of insulation and permissible temperature rise, and auxiliary equipment. These are the standard specifications. Now machine parameter. The parameter required for the design of the machine is, we can say here, this is the rotor and this is the stator and this is the length. Okay, so and from here to here this is the diameter. So here D we used for the diameter of the armature core in meter, and the L is the length of the core. Small n is the speed of machine in RPS. Okay, and capital N denote the speed of the machine in RPM. P is the number of pole, A is the number of parallel path, and flux, we represent flux by phi, and B is the flux density, and tau is the pole pitch equal to perimeter of the circle of upon number of pole. So here pole pitch is pi d over p. It is the pole pitch divided by the number of pole. perimeter of pole divided by the number of pole is called the pole pitch. Z is the number of conductor. TPS, total number of per phase, total turns per phase. Iz equal to current in each conductor, the unit of conductor current in ampere, and Ia is the armature current, and EPS is induced EMF per phase, and PA is the power developed in kilowatt, Q is the power rating in kVA. So these are the parameters which we use for design the DC machine. Now what is the maximum air gap flux density? The maximum air gap flux density is denoted by the Bg, and it is the ratio of the specific magnetic loading to a psi. Here you can see that the formula of Bg equal to BAV. It means the specific magnetic loading to phi. So we can say here the psi is the pole arc upon pole pitch. Now the output equation of the DC machine. We know that the EMF equation for the DC machine is EPH equal to phi Zn upon 60 into P over A. Here phi is the flux per pole in Weber, Z is the total number of armature conductor, P is the number of pole, and A is the number of parallel path, which is 2 for wave winding and A equal to P for the lap winding. It means in case of lap winding, here the number of pole equal to number of parallel path. Okay, so here capital N is the speed in the RPM. So power developed in armature equal to induced EMF, E into I. We know that P equal to V into I. So here induced EMF is EPH and I is the IA, which is the armature current. So we multiply both EPS into IA. The unit for the power developed is watt. And now if we want to represent it in kilowatt, we should multiply by 10 to the power minus 3. So power developed in kilowatt equal to EPH into IA into 10 to the power minus 3. So this is the EMF equation for the DC machine. Now if we put the values here, we know that power developed is phi Zn upon 60 into P over A into Ia into 10 to the power minus 3 into kilowatt. So here P phi equal to BAV into pi DL, because we know that the specific magnetic loading, which is denoted by BAV, is P phi over pi DL. So when we calculate here the value of the P phi, it is the BAV into pi DL, and when we divided IA armature current by a number of parallel path, it is the IZ. Okay, so it is the specific electrical loading. Now we put this value here. We have A upon, you can see here we have A upon IA. So here we put IZ. Now at the place of P into phi, we can put BAV into pi DL. Now when put these value in the above equation, we can get here Pa equal to BAV pi dl into Zn upon 60 into Iz into 10 to the power minus 3. Here we can represent it n upon 60 equal to small n, because small n is the speed in rps. Okay, so we can represent it by small n, and I z into z we represented pi d ac. Okay, so when we put these value in this equation, we can get here the power developed in the armature is Pa equal to BAV into AC pi square d square ln 10 to the power minus 3 kilowatt. Here the all terms are constant. Here BAV into AC into pi square into 10 to the power minus 3. Okay, so these are represented by CO. Now the power developed is CO d square ln kilowatt. Now CO called the output coefficient. So this is the power developed by the armature. Do not confuse it with rated power output P. Now for DC motor, here we have a power equal to P plus friction plus windage and iron losses. So if we neglecting all the losses in the machine, then we have P output power. Okay, and in case of DC generator, we have a power P upon efficiency minus losses, friction, windage and iron losses. So if we neglecting these losses, then power developed equal to P output power upon efficiency. Now selection of number of poles. For selecting the number of poles, we have here two factors. These the first factor are depending selection on the number of pole, and second the choice of number of pole. Now depending factor number of pole is, we know that the frequency of machine P equal to 120 F upon N, means the number of pole equal to 120 F upon N. So frequency of flux is reversal is limited to the 25 to 50 hertz. So the number of iron parts, if we want to calculate, we can see here. In case of two pole machine, if suppose we have a number of turns T and total number of flux is phi T. Okay, because number of turn denoted by T, so how much flux will produced here, we multiply flux into the number of turn, which gives us the total flux. Okay, so for a single pole machine, means if we have a two pole machine, if we have a two pole machine, the flux under one pole is phi T by 2, and the flux on the another pole is also phi T by 2, and the flux under the yoke is phi T by 4. In case of four pole machine, the flux is divided into the four part. So it is the phi T by 4, phi T by 4, phi T by 4 and phi T by 4. And flux under the yoke is phi T by 8, phi T by 8, phi T by 8 and phi T by 8. Okay. So here the flux under the yoke is phi T by 8, and when the number of pole increases, flux in yoke decreases. We can see here, when we have a two pole, then the flux under the yoke is phi t by 4, and when we have a four pole, then we have a flux on the yoke is phi t by 8. So we can say that when the number of pole increases, flux in the yoke decreases. So iron required for transferring the flux in yoke decreases. Now the second thing is weight of copper. Okay, so here you can see that when two pole machine is so a two pole machine is shown in this figure. Here we have a two pole, one is N and one is S. Okay, so it so with the number of turn winding. So we can say this is the active part of the machine and this is the inactive part of the machine. When the number of pole increases, you can say here we have a number of pole increases, the weight of the active part reduces. Okay, so when the number of pole increases, the weight of the active part is reduces. So we can say the weight of the copper reduces. Here we have active part from here to here. So when we have number of pole increases, we can see here the active part is reduces. So if active part is reduces, so we have a copper weight. It means weight of copper also reduces. Okay, so when we calculate the labor cost, okay, so we have a equation is EPH equal to phi Zn upon 60 into P over A. So here E is proportional to Zn upon A, and we can say for lap winding A equal to P, if we put A equal to P, then we can say that here Z equal to EP over N. Okay, and we can say Z is proportional to the number of pole. Okay, so when the pole increases, conductor increases. Okay, when pole increases, then the number of conductor is also increases, and when the number of conductor is increases, we can say the labor cost is also increases. Now the next is commutator length. Taking a two pole machine will have number of two brushes, and here we have a number of parallel path for lap winding A equal to P. So here we have a 2. Okay, number of parallel path. Now here we can see that in case of two pole machine, the current I divided, we have a two brush, so current I divided into I by 2 and I by 2 in two brushes. And in case of four pole machine, we have a four brushes. Now here current I will divide it as I by 4, I by 4. Now small number of pole means brush current is high, so need more area for brushes, and commutator length is also increase. Factor for choice of number of pole. Here the first factor is frequency of flux reversal should between 25 to 50 Hz, and the current per parallel path is limited to 200 ampere, and current per brush arm is limited to 400 ampere, and armature MF per pole can be selected as per the table. Here we have a table. In this table we have output in kilowatt and armature MMF per pole here. Okay, so up to 100 the armature MMF is 5000, and up to 100 to 500 the armature MMF is 5000 to 500. So these are the table for selecting the armature MMF. Now design of the number of slot, it is depend upon the depending. Here we have two content. First is depending factor, second is choice of the number of slot. Depending factor for this, when the number of slot increases then also tooth width decreases and mechanical strength decreases and tooth area decreases, but the flux density loss increases and efficiency decreases and cost of manufacturing increases and commutation increases. Choice of number of slots. Slot pitch, slot per pole should lie between the 25 to 35 mm. Slot loading should not exceed from 1500 ampere. Flux pulsation should be integer, it is plus I by 2, and slot per pole arc should be integer plus 1 by 2. For better commutation, number of slot per pole should lie between the 9 to 16. Shunt field design. Here we have some parameter for the shunt field design. It is HF, height of the field winding, DF, depth of the field winding, S equal to cooling surface of the field coil, LMT, length of mean turn of field winding, RF, resistance of field coil, TF, number of turns in each field coil, IF, current in the field coil, del F, current density in the field coil, QF, copper loss in each coil, SF, surface factor or copper space factor, rho is the resistivity, and EF, voltage cross section E shunt field coil, and LO is the length of outermost turn, and LI is the length of innermost turn, and LMT length of the mean turn. And this is the diagram for the magnetic circuit. Field design of the magnetic circuit of DC machine involve first determination of cross sectional area of pole, height of winding, depth of winding, number of turns required for winding. So this is the introduction about the design of the DC machine. Thank you.